Okay, so welcome to Pro Mindset Podcast. I am your host, Craig Doman, and today my guest is an MMA, UFC, UFL, mixed martial artist fighter, Amun Cosme that goes by Moon. Moon, welcome to Pro Mindset.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Okay, so what is your story? Share with our audience what your story is that got you to the point where you're at today.
Okay, I'll give you a condensed version because it's a lot of layers. But essentially, I had a pretty late start in martial arts. I didn't start martial arts as a 8-year-old, 10-year-old. I didn't wrestle in high school. I didn't do any of that. I actually didn't start training martial arts until my 20s, and I didn't take my first fight until 25. So I think I had about 3.5 or 4 years of training. So you would say that, oh, okay, Moon got into martial arts late. It's a late start, but part of my journey and my story is just kind of overcoming, which I think every fighter, that's a huge part of their story. Is that as a fighter, there will always be obstacles in your way, and learning how to overcome is what makes you a fighter. I always tell people, like, you don't have to be a professional. Not everybody's a professional fighter, but we're all out there fighting for something. And professional fighters just learn how to use whatever it is they're fighting against as fuel to kind of drive them towards what they want. So part of my story, before I even had my first MMA fight, I had back surgery. I got into a car accident. I needed back surgery. And I remember during the period where I was kind of like on my rehab period, kind of like bed rest, kind of just rehabbing my body, I just kind of thought back to myself and was like, hey, man, if you can't do anything physically, if you can't be an athlete, what is left of you? And so I really started in investing in building myself mentally and starting seeking education and ways to expand my knowledge and build up my brain, because I felt like getting my body physically back into shape was going to be simple. Not easy, but simple. And against all the doctor's orders saying that I possibly wouldn't walk straight, I probably wouldn't, play sports or any of that, I took a leap of faith and just a hard-headedness of a fighter. And I was like, hey, look, this is stuff that y'all say that I'm not going to do, but I believe I can do it. So I just got to spending more time in the martial arts academies. And the more time I spent in the martial arts academies, the more that it really resonated with my heart. And I started overcoming all these little battles in my life. And that one thing turned into the next. And it was like a domino effect. And I took my first fight at 25. And after that first fight, I took another fight that year, and I took my third fight that year. So I had 3 amateur fights in that first year, and I fought for my first amateur title in 2016. 2016 is when I fought for my first amateur title. And I remember when I won that, for me, it was such a huge deal because I was like, I remember them saying I wouldn't be here. I couldn't do this. And I didn't just prove them wrong, but I proved to myself how right I was in the belief that I had in myself that I could be here. And that was kind of like the spark that just kind of like just set my career aflame, and it's just been going ever since.
Okay, so correct me if I'm wrong. You're 6-1 as a pro fighter.
Yes, sir.
And you're in the bantamweight, and you're going to be fighting for the UFL championship early in 2024.
Yes.
Okay.
Correct.
You just told me that you just said that fighters are always fighting for something. In addition to the opponent they're fighting against, they're always fighting for something. What are you fighting for?
For me, it's the constant pressure I put on myself to prove myself right. It's like I always knew that in some shape, form, or fashion, that greatness is something that can be attained by any single person if they're willing to sacrifice. So for me, every time I get in that ring, it's to prove to myself as well as to my family. I have a very close relationship with all my siblings and my family and my mom and my cousins. And I sacrificed a lot. I chose this path. This path did not choose me. No one told me, hey, I think you should go be a professional fighter. Society never told me, hey, man, that's the right thing to do. No one told me to pick this path. I chose this path. So this is something that I have fully dedicated myself to. And when my family sees me sacrifice time and money and just health, everything to just go all in on this journey, it also gives them a boost to know, to realize like, hey, whatever it is that they want, that if they sacrifice and they make that and they fight for it, that it's something that can be attained no matter what the obstacle is in your way. And that's kind of my driving force is, to prove to myself my own greatness, as well as provide a role model for my family and the supporters that look up to me, to show them no matter what obstacles are in your way, as long as you continue to fight relentlessly, that you can overcome those things.
Okay, Moon. I find that a lot of people that are chasing greatness are also trying to show that they can do the impossible. And for someone that's in your shoes, who's stepping in a ring against another man who can't get what he wants without taking you down. And you can't get what you want unless you take him down. What is the mindset that you have at the beginning of a match? Because you're like a gladiator. It's either kill or be killed.
Yeah.
What is the mindset? How would you describe your mindset when you're in the ring and your opponent's in the ring and the match starts?
For me, I think it's like, if you can have the perfect balance, I can think of every last fight I've ever been in, and I know the fights where I am 1000% locked in, meaning, hey, no matter what happens in this fight, I know it sounds extreme, but this is how you got to think of it, like life or death. Like, no matter what happens, I have accepted responsibility. Either I'm going to destroy this guy or this guy's going to destroy me. And there's something about, I tell everyone, when you get in a cage and they actually lock the cage door, you can hear the cage door go, clink, that there is no way out. There is no other feeling like it. People say, oh man, you can play football, you can play this, you can play whatever sport you want to play. But when they lock you in the cage with another man who has been trained for 2 or 3 months just to separate you from your consciousness, it's a different feeling. And it's the instincts, fight, flight, or freeze. You can't flight, you can't leave because you're not jumping out of the cage because it's locked. So now you have 2 choices, fight or freeze. And something about when that cage door goes clink, clink, and I hear that clap and say, you ready, you ready? There's literally like a switch that goes on in my head. And to me, I feel the perfect balance is a balance between feeling everything and feeling nothing at all. And you just ride that line of detachment, because I want to detach this guy from his consciousness. He wants to do the same thing to me. So when I hit this guy with a good shot, I'm not thinking, oh man, is this guy okay? Like, did I hurt him? No, you have to go to that place, that very primal place where it's either you or them. And I tell people, getting physically ready for a fight is very easy. I stay in shape. I live in the gym. This is what I do for a living. But getting mentally prepared to go all the way if you have to. When you hit someone or you cut them with an elbow and you're mounted on them and not thinking about that person's health, you're thinking about the finish. It's a very primal place. And I think you have to have a good balance of being detached from the emotions, but also have them available if you have to call on them. So it's a balance game. But for me, as soon as that cage goes clink, lock, and they clap hands and say, you ready? Like, there's literally a switch. And my team has pointed out a couple times where it was like, man, I didn't like the look on your face prior, like right when the cage closed. It looked like you were flat. And I was like, I took all the emotions in from the walkout, all the crowd going like, got the energy, and then I just flatline. And then as soon as the clapper goes off, boom, I have a mission. And when you have a mission, it doesn't matter how you feel. What matters is you get the job done. I don't feel good today. Cool, go get the job done. I feel bad today. Go get the job done. I feel great. Cool, go get the job done. So that's what I look at it as. There's a job or a task at hand. And no matter what you're feeling or not feeling, you have to go perform. And that's kind of the state or the mindset that I'm in prior to a fight.
Okay, so you You mentioned that there's the mental and the physical preparations before a match, before a fight. And the physical takes care of itself because you've got a training regimen, you've got systems, you've got habits. I'm sure you have some type of protocol that you follow that leads you up for the fight so that you're in tip top, maximum, awesome shape. What do you do mentally during that same time, intentionally, so that when fight day comes, you can lock in when the cage locks?
The number one thing, read, write, and visualize. Because like I have a lot of I tell people there's like chaos in here. And then now you have chaos going on outside you. But you gotta really think of yourself as like the eye of the hurricane. Like there's a category 5 hurricane going on around you. But as long as you can stay centered and stay, at peace in the middle, then you can be in control. And so when the chaos is ramping up in training camp, getting ready for this event, I like to read, write, and visualize. And I'll visualize. I know it sounds crazy. I'll go on walks almost every day. It doesn't have to be long, 10 minutes, 15 minutes. And when I go on these walks, I'll put music in and I'll listen to either some of my favorite motivational speakers. It could be music. It could be instrumentals, just anything. There's something about when you visualize with music, it almost like takes me there. So if I know I'm gonna fight someone, whatever music or anything that is like resonating with me at the time, I'll play it in my head, and it's almost like my walkout song. I'm walking down the street, and I'm just like, I'm shadow boxing, and I'm just walking, and I'm just visualizing my walk to the cage over and over and over and over again until I'm kind of like there in my head. And I'll do that a lot. And then I'll mentally just put myself in every position. In training camp, when I'm training, I'll put myself in all the bad positions, not the good positions, all the bad positions, and then work out. That way I can start to build up that confidence that, hey, if this guy gets me in his best position or my worst position, I have a way out. And if I have a way out and if he can't do this, then there's no way he can stop me from doing what I'm going to do. So it's really more about me than it is ever about my opponent. The fight is never with my opponent. The fight is always with me. And so if I can be at peace with going into war, then I know I'm ready. And in order to do that, I read, write, and visualize. And that's kind of like my steps to get there. And then I have like my protocols on how I do that. It only takes me a couple weeks, but I can start getting really in the zone in about 2 or 3 weeks, like really where I'm just mentally locked in, where I say, hey, it's time to fight. Boom. I can say, all right, time to go.
Let's go to waking up on fight day.
Mm-hmm.
What is your mental preparation and steps leading up to the walkout when you're in the arena and you're getting ready to go into the cage? You're obviously, you've got a physical protocol, you got a physical routine, but what is your mental routine when you're hours away from fighting?
For me, I'm big on energy, man. I believe, if you don't believe in anything, I believe in the law of energy. The law of energy states that energy cannot be created nor destroyed, only transferred from one thing to the next. So I like to use that energy in whatever way possible. So a couple hours before the fight actually starts, where I'm just kind of just in my walk around gear, nothing crazy. I like to go out and mingle with the crowd. I like to feel the energy in the building prior to me walking out to the fight. I don't want, when I walk out to my fight, that to be the first time that I feel the presence of the crowd, the excitement, see the lights and all these things. So what I'll do is I'll just kind of walk around and just kind of chat with people, just like a fan. I want to feel that excitement of the fight and everything. So I'll do that. And then about 5 or 6, maybe it's like 4 or 5 fights prior to my fight, I go back, I'll get my hands wrapped up, and then I'll put my headphones in and I'll start to listen to the same songs or speeches or instrumentals that I was listening to for weeks, that I was visualizing this exact moment. Because now that I put those in, it makes me realize that, hey, all this time that I spent preparing for this moment is here. And after I get my hands wrapped, and I already hit my stretch and stuff like that. I bring my gratitude journal. This is something I've done ever since I was an amateur. I'll go to my gratitude journal and I'll write my final thoughts. And for me, it's kind of like if I was writing my final thoughts before going into battle. Like, hey, I could die and I want to get whatever this is out. And I'll write things. And I normally get pretty emotional because I'm in a state of gratitude. I'm like, hey, I'm thankful for this moment. I'm thankful for the ability to do this. I get to do this. I don't have to do this. I can do a lot of other things. I chose this. So this fear, this anxiety, this anxiousness that you're feeling, good. Feel it, use it. And then remember that you spent 2 months, almost 3 months preparing for this exact moment. It's not the time to be afraid. It's not the time to be nervous. It's the time to be excited. So it's almost spot on. Every time I journal before going out, after I get my hands wrapped, I write like the past is gone, the future is not yet here, and the present is the only thing that matters. And then if it's a regular 3-round fight, I just put you got 15 minutes to the rest of your life. If it's a title fight, 25 minutes to the rest of your life. And that simply means, hey, you got to leave it all out there. There needs to be no second guessing that after 15 minutes, if you fought your hardest, that man, I could have gave a little bit more. It's 15 minutes to the rest of your life. And that's like when I write down, hey, those last words, I'll play my music, and then I kind of just go, I put my hoodie on and I get in my own head, and then we start our physical routine. So once I get mentally checked in and then the physical routine goes, it's like, boom, now you're ready. I normally shed a couple tears or a couple tears before that, just because when I'm writing everything that I'm grateful for, it just really hits home to me. You know, I start writing stuff that like really is dear to my heart. And it's nothing crazy. I can be thankful for my family, for the present moment, for my team, for everybody that got me here, all the people that don't see the big army behind you. All they see is you walking to the cage. But I start being grateful for every last thing. And then I always just write like, thank you for my victory. Thank you for my victory. And I'll write that until a whole page is done. It'll be a whole page of just thank you for my victory. I'm thanking myself in advance for this victory that I'm going to achieve.
Okay, can I throw something out at you, boss?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm just going to take what you told me, and I'm going to put it in the pro mindset model and kick it back to you. Okay. Your story is what has got you to where you're at. And if you want to get somewhere different, you have to write a new story. And one of the ways you can write a new story, you already do it. You read, you write, you visualize. In your writing session, write your intentions, write your gratitude, all that stuff. Reframe your past. Look at your biggest failure and take the lesson from it. Find your biggest hater, forgive them, and learn a lesson from it. Gain some motivation from it. And then put it into an audio that you can listen to as a part of your routine. Because now it's your voice telling you who you are and why you do what you do and what your purpose is. And listen to that every day. And when you think it's getting outdated, update it. So that on the morning of your fight, you might be listening to some famous motivational speaker. What if that's you? Listening to you about you. Yeah. The second thought I have is about visualization. What I have found is that visualization works the best when there's an emotion attached to it. And so when you are visualizing yourself in a bad position against an opponent and you're finding a way out, the emotion that you're creating is that there is a way. I can do this. I can win. There's not going to be anything I can't get myself out of. And so really like diving into what that emotion is, and it can change over time. It can change from fight to fight. And then the last suggestion I have is, you're right. Nobody else goes in a cage. And they either fight, they freeze, or they can't get out. There's nothing else like it. I mean, football, you just wave your hand until it, start pulling your, touching your hamstring, and they take you out of the game. There's so many sports where you can exit stage left.
Time out. There is no time out.
There's no timeout. And so my thought for you is this: create a performance cage in your mind that is a headspace that you develop over time leading up to a fight. So on fight day, the only thing that's in that headspace cage for you, that performance cage, is the things you're thankful for, your gratitude. It's everything that serves your best interest. Everything that's for you. All the obstacles that you've overcome, that's there. Because that gives you confidence and belief in who you are. Bring all your momentum for being consistently consistent. Bring that with you into your performance cage. And anything that doesn't serve you, like chaos, haters, media, whatever, doubters, they don't get to go in the cage. So that when you have the fight and you do your walk up and you're in, they lock it. It's who you are. That performance cage becomes your identity. And you don't have to be anybody else but you. And the guy, assuming everybody's got similar talent, the guy with the best identity is going to win.
Yeah. It's funny. It's funny. Like, you're saying things that I have either thought of or maybe have done in a different way. Like now, so I had eight fights as an amateur, and now I have 7 fights as a pro. And my best friend, who's also my head coach, Lathan Lawson, we would go back and listen to some of my old interviews, the same way that you're talking about, like, hey, like, make that recording of yourself. And I told him that I would go back to make sure I was being the most authentic version of myself and sticking to my own word, not what nobody else said for me, but what I said I wanted to do for myself. And I think maybe to put it on a concentrated like a format to where it's one specific thing to listen to. That's something I'll definitely have to do in order to kind of up that mental game. I'm always up to improve in the mental and physical aspect. I tell everyone, I'm like, people think that the mental is separate from the physical. I'm like, they're a part of each other. Like, your brain is an actual organ, so it is a physical part of you. But a lot of times we separate the two. But when you learn, and that's what I've learned as a fighter, is when you can like blend your mental and your physicality, is when you really start to get special things. And what you said about like have all the good performance cage and then all like the negative, the naysayers, that I have an album in my phone called the Cookie Jar, and I have a good cookie jar and a bad cookie jar. And for me, the bad cookie jar is the naysayers, the this, the that, the third, and then the good cookie jar is really things that feed my heart. Anytime somebody gives me some kind of positive sayings or affirmations or some kind of praise or anything. And I had to speak when you were talking about the law, the failure or anything like that stands out big. I had a moment where my first loss in 6 years, the only loss I have on my record as a pro, or an amateur, was a main event on UFC Fight Pass for Icon in front of Jorge Masvidal. And that moment right there was probably, it wasn't the lowest moment because I was already going through all kind of crazy stuff outside of the fight. But that moment right there, I learned so much more from that loss than I probably learned in a lot of the wins that I've had. And I've used that moment particularly. Everybody was kind of concerned, like, oh my God, this guy hasn't lost in 6 years. He took an L. What is he going to do now? And then I just showed everyone that from that loss, I became you hear it all the time, win or learn. I'm like, look, after that loss, what do you got? First round knockout, second round TKO, fighting for a belt. And it was like that loss was not something that just spiraled the momentum going down. It was a rebound effect of going down and then boom, shooting back up. Only if you can learn from those moments. And I just praised my team because we never looked at all those wins when I got those wins as wins. We looked at the wins as a loss. So I already built up this habit. No matter if I win or lose, where can I improve? And then so because we already looked at the wins like that, when I did take my first ever L, we were already in that same mindset of, hey, what can we improve? So it just kind of created a good rebound effect and allowed me to do exactly what you're saying, kind of like have my own like mental cage. I guess these are things that I need to kind of compartmentalize to make a little bit more concentrated. But I have that in my head, like the good mental cage, and then just the doubters, the naysayers, and things like that.
What was the one or two things that you learned from your loss that have helped you rebound?
Number one, control what you can control. It's it's extremely hard. People live this life of comparison with all the social media shit going on. But when you're an athlete and you're in a room full of athletes, sometimes environment dictates behavior. Like if they call it fighting on death's ground. If they burning the boats, hey, we're going to go to war. We land on the beach. We burn the boats. We're not going home. So guess what? You either win or you die. And the environment you're in can dictate your behavior. And I was just fighting. In that first loss that I took for training camp, I had a lot of stuff going on in my personal life. And I was just fighting in my personal life, not physically, but mentally. I had all these battles, and I wasn't being the IQ fighter that I have literally created my whole entire fight career. Was, hey, wherever you're the strongest, not wherever you're the strongest at, get them there, but wherever they're the weakest at is where you want to take them. So you need to develop a skill set to take wherever their weak point is, take them to there. And in that loss, I learned to control what I can control. You do not have to fight every last time a fight is presented to you. And I did so much sparring and so much fighting in that training camp. And I wanted to win everything because it was the biggest fight in my career. I wanted to win. And if you're focused on the win, a lot of times you're going to come up with a loss because you're trying to rush to victory. And when you rush to victory, you make mistakes. And it's better to be fast. It's better to be correct than it is to be fast, because fast and wrong is still wrong. And I was in a rush to win everything, to win. And when I learned that, hey, take a step back, control what you can control, and focus on the game plan, because the game plan will lead you to the victory. You're not making a game plan to lose, right? Nobody puts a strategy to lose a war, right? The strategy is to win. So when you hit me with a good punch or a good kick, am I getting emotionally invested that, hey, I need to hit you back? Or am I diagnosing what's happening? What did you hit me with? How did you hit me? Was I going forward? Was I going backwards? Was I going left? Was I going right? I'm too lead leg heavy. I need to back my weight up a little bit. Okay, cool. I need to be on my toes. Get off the heels. It's like when you're emotionally invested in a problem, you don't see the whole problem because you're so in it. It's like trying to read a book from here. It's like, hey, back up. Now you can read. So from that loss that I took was control what you can control and don't focus on the win. Focus on the game plan. Your game plan will lead you to success. If you want to lose 10 pounds, cool. What's the game plan? Exercise regularly 3-4 times a day, 3-4 times a week. Start eating healthy. Cut out fast food. Okay, that's your game plan. If you stick with that, you'll lose the 10 pounds. But if you just tell yourself every week, I'm going to lose 10 pounds in a month. I'm going to lose 10 pounds. I'm going to lose 10 pounds. It's like, well, you're not following the game plan. You're saying what you want. And that's everybody wants the win. But if you focus on what gets you to the win, you have a system. And when you have a system, it's easy to be successful because you just follow the system. Cool. This system gets me lose the 10 pounds. Cool. Now what do I want to do? Now I can just tweak the system.
Moon, love those learnings. One thing that I found is that everybody wants to win. And the reason why everybody wants to win is that's where you get the recognition. That's where you get the rewards. That's where you get the paycheck.
Mm-hmm.
But the goal should always be to be your best. Perform your best. right?
1000%.
And so think about this concept. You don't do your best and you win. Okay, you just feel icky about that dub because it's like I could have did better. Okay, but let's say you win. Let's say you play your best, but you don't win. You can live with that because you can't do better than your best. Can you do better than your best? No, because it's your best.
Yes, no.
Yeah, you prepared appropriately. Your systems were in place. You visualized. Your movie time was awesome. Your diet, nutrition, sleep, everything was awesome. Your headspace was awesome. You get in the cage and you do awesome, and you still lose. It is what it is, man. Okay. So what I find with young athletes, especially, is they spend too much time watching the scoreboard. They're trying to win, right?
I couldn't agree more. You're doing this, and it's like, yo, look in front of you. You're like this. Like, look in front of you. You're like, bro, stay the course.
So if you're best,
how many times have you watched? I apologize, I didn't mean to cut you off. But how many times?
No, you're good. You're good.
A football game or a basketball game where there's big momentum shift, particularly in the third quarter. And I say this in the third quarter because halftime, you have a break, you come back in the third quarter, maybe the team was winning. They're like, oh man, if we keep this lead, we'll just push on to the fourth quarter. There'll be no more time. And then that team gets momentum. Boom. And then the winning team does what? Starts looking at the scoreboard like they're catching up. It's like, you wouldn't have to look at the scoreboard if you would have just stayed the course and been as aggressive in the third quarter as you were in the first and second quarter.
No, I see it all the time. And I think one of the things that you're describing is, can you play free? Can you get in the zone? Can you play where you don't care what people are thinking? You don't care what the scoreboard says. Because when you play free, you typically play your best.
Yes.
And if your best is not good enough, what do? You go back to the drawing board. You devise a different workout regimen, better systems to improve your endurance, to improve your kick, whatever it is that's lacking, you need to get better at. But you don't worry about that when you're in the fight.
Yeah.
In the fight, you just want to do your best. So because we're in a results society,
mm-hmm.
I do care, but I don't care how hard you work. I don't care how much you want it. I don't care how many hours you spent getting ready for a fight. Let's say I'm fighting you next. And goodness gracious, I would die. But let's say I was fighting you. Okay? It doesn't matter. What matters is, what are you showing up with when you get in the cage, and what am I showing up with? And so I see a couple things that hold people back. One is that you've probably seen people at the airport. They got a backpack. The airport's crowded. They're just zooming through. Then you got guys that got like a luggage cart, 5 bags, car seat, all this stuff. They ain't not moving very fast. If it's crowded, they just kind of inching along. So when you show up for your fight, you want to be wearing a backpack.
Yeah.
You want to travel light. You don't want to have any heavy emotional baggage with you. Yeah. That's number one. And number two is the idea that you only know you. No one knows you better than you. How can you create that environment where you can play free with maximum belief in who you are and maximum confidence in what you do? And so let's pretend that the cage has oxygen, which it does. But let's just say there's a boundary of oxygen in there. But that oxygen's all belief. And you believe in yourself completely. I'm betting on you. Because there's these guys called 99.9ers. They believe in themselves 99.9% of the time. They look the same as you. They work just as hard as you. Might have worked harder than you. But when something goes sideways, something unexpected, That's when that 0.1% shows up. Thoughts on that?
Oh man, it sounds like you spoke to my one of my coaches, Bubby Mitchell. We had this conversation before. We had literally this almost spot on conversation, and he talked about self belief and confidence as a fighter, and he called it like a gear, and you have all these little gears, but the big one is the self belief and the confidence. And there are all these other little gears that you can turn, but he's like, hey, the more gears and stuff that you got the more stuff going on, and once you have that one sliver of doubt and that one gear slips, and then it now becomes harder to turn that big wheel of confidence or self-belief. And that's huge. If you don't believe in yourself in the cage, in a time of chaos, in a time of fight, your opponent will sense it. It is, when I say it's primal in there, it's primal. When you make a guy bleed or guy makes you bleed, they can see it in your eyes. Is this blood making you like go back? Or is this making you like, I have a sense of urgency? And that self-belief and that confidence that's built up, I like to really believe that confidence comes from repetition. Because if you're not good at something, if I told you, do you speak Japanese?
I do not.
All right. If you took 1 hour of Japanese and then you tried to speak it, you wouldn't feel very confident. But if you took a class an hour a day, 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, and then you had a team of people around you also giving you, helping you out. Everything that they're doing is to help you. Then you start to get this belief and this confidence. And now you have the ability to perform better because of the repetition that you put in. And ultimately, I believe self-belief is key. There are some times where we're going to doubt ourselves. That's just human nature. But like you said, there are a lot of people faking self-belief, right? Fake it till you make it. But you said the most important thing early on. You said, hey, being your authentic self. I'm going to take the guy who is 100% him. I tell people, if you're afraid in a fight, good. Use it. Don't pretend you're not afraid. Because if you try and pretend, and you see all these guys at the weigh-ins, they be all like, in the face. I'm not that guy. I tell people, like, I'm not going to hit you on stage and not get paid tomorrow. Like, I trained 2-3 months for this one fight. You want me to waste my energy to be all like, give you this, like, yeah, you can see me. And I'm just like, yeah, it is what it is. And you said something. You have the 99.9 percenters. And a good friend of mine told me this, and it was like 2016. He said 99% is 100% out. 99% in is 100% out. He says,
I 100% agree. That 1% is the most important percent.
Yes, the last one.
So here's what I would tell you is that I break up confidence and belief.
Okay.
I think they're different. Your belief is in who you are as a man. God created you for a purpose. You're a father, you're a brother, you're a son. You've got all these roles to play. It's like, it's who you are. Take away those roles. Take away your titles. Who are you? You still love yourself? You got to. And here's the other thing that happens with belief. If you're a 99.9er, so is your coach. So is your wife.
Yes.
So is your teammate. So is whoever. Your colleagues. That you set the cap for how much people believe in you, by how much you believe in you.
Yes.
And then let's confidence is a different animal. You know, like you said, if I just started learning Japanese, I wouldn't be very confident about Japanese. That does not impact how I feel about me.
Yeah.
I'm still 100%er regardless. If I go play golf and I can hit a driver, but I can't putt or whatever it might be, it doesn't affect who I am. This means I need to get to the driving range, or I need to get on the putting green, or whatever my weakness is. So you as a fighter, you have strengths and weaknesses. You have things you're good at, and you have things you're not as good at. And you want to improve all of them. And your confidence on a certain move might be different than a confidence in a different move. But it should not impact how you feel about you. And you're 100% right. If you don't believe in you 100%, it's going to kill you in two ways. Your opponent knows it. They're right in you guys are on top. You guys are intimate.
Yeah,
They know it. They can close their eyes and still feel it. And when you face adversity, when you get a little bit of you get blindsided, he does something you didn't expect. The official makes a call that you didn't think was right or fair. You could pick the poison, whatever that is, when it shows up, because it always shows up.
Yeah.
That 1% now becomes everything.
I have three fights. When you say that, I have three of my fights that stick out on both sides. One where I saw that in my opponent, and one where the opponent's corner thought that I would give up because I was bleeding. So this is my first UFC Fight Pass fight where 20 seconds into the fight, like you said, adversity. It was, I got caught with a hook. I came in, boom, boom, boom. I got caught with a little hook. And then when what came in, we clashed heads and I split open right down the middle. I can't see out my left eye, but I'm trying not to blink or move it because I don't want the referee to say anything. This is 20 seconds into the fight. So because we were so close, I let the guy grab me and just turn me on the cage so I can assess what's going on. I can't see out out of my left eye. And then so when I look down, thank God I got these like bushy ass eyebrows and these long eyelashes. Because when I looked down, I just saw the blood leaking and it like parted ways where it kind of came down here versus like directly in my eye. So it started coming down here. So it cleared out. And I hear this guy's corner say, he's bleeding. He's going to give up. And I was just like, in my head, I'm like, 20 seconds into the fight, you think I'm going to give up? Cool. And it ends up going three round war, crazy fight. On the other side of that, I fought this guy my last fight as an amateur. Everybody was afraid to fight him. He was 7-0. He had like 6 finishes, a real strong wrestler, 4 guillotine finishes. He would just impose his will on fighters. And I was like, I looked at his record. Me and my coaches looked at film and I was like, man, none of these guys are fighting him back. And I was like, all these guys are fighting his record. No one's fighting him. Like, they're like, as soon as they get in there and he gets hit, they start backing down. And I'm like, he is literally intimidating you guys and no one's fighting. You're giving ground. I said, man, he ain't never had nobody fight him before. And that's where I'm going to win this fight. And first minute into the fight, I'm feeling him out, kind of just countering, just kind of see what he do. I throw a heavy cross. He shoots, takes me down, gets to side control. And I'm like, this is not a good position because this is where he finishes his fights. So I decide to give up the back because I'm like, hey, I can give up the back, fight the choke, stand up because he's going to go for the rear naked choke if I give the back. Otherwise, I'm going to stand up. So I said, fuck it. Turn, give up the back. He climbs the back like I'm thinking. And my corner's like, hey, you're good. Just fight the choke, let him go. This guy's a wrestler. Soon as I separated and I switched positions, I saw his face. He fell down. I get a wrist trap, so he cannot turn into me. So now I'm like, oh, you're done. Like, you can't turn into the cage because I have the wrist ride. And he didn't know I wrestled. And I cracked him. And when I cracked him, his face turned. The referee was like, hey, that's a shot to the back of the head. And I'm like, no, it's not. Like, he turned his face because he saw me about to punch him. At that point in time, I got taken down. I gave up my back. And the referee just separated us. So nothing is going in my favor. Everything's going in this guy's favor. But when I switched positions, when he got to his best position, I got out of it. I reversed it and then started ground and pounding. I saw the look in his eyes. They separated us. And for a whole minute and a half, I saw the doctors in there. And I'm just sitting over there. I'm standing up. And I could see the look in his eyes. And he's like,
oh, shit.
Yes, that's exactly what I saw. My corner, as soon as they clapped the same, my corner said, hey, put the pressure on him. I was not counterfighting anymore. I was like, I'm taking the fight to him. What did I do? Fake the shot, throw an overhand right, clip him on the chin. He goes back to the cage, and then now he starts retreating. I catch him with a head kick, split him open. Second round, I get knockout. I'm a knockout of the year. Switch stance, hit him with uppercut, flatline. And it was like, I saw that chink of doubt right there. We're like, fuck, I wrestled this guy. I didn't think he was a wrestler. I didn't think he knew how to wrestle. And then he got out, reversed it, and put me in a bad position. And he didn't get out that position. The referee took him out. So he didn't have confidence that if he got in that position, he could get out. And that was like you said, that belief that, hey, this guy took me down, but I didn't go, oh my God, like, this is his money position. Let me panic. I was just like, yo, we're going to get out of here. I'm going to go into a better position that I can get out. And then when it happened to him, that sign of adversity, it was like the first sign of adversity. I just saw it in his eyes. I was just like, all right, I know what's going on here. I was like, I've been in 3 bad positions in less than a minute, and I worked my way out of every last one. And now he's in his first compromised position, and I can feel the energy go from like this to like this. And that's a huge difference. Like I said, this is intimate. We're here. And,
you guys are way intimate.
Yeah, that happened in my Icon fight in February this year. The guy came and we were like posing off, and he's like in my face, and I'm like, I just kind of laughed, and I'm walking off stage like thumbs up, and everybody, it made like a bunch of like memes and headlines and stuff, because everybody's like, who's this dude like smiling, giggling, and giving a thumbs up? And this is something that I learned from like reading Bruce Lee and his philosophy. It's like when your opponent expands, you contract. And when they contract, you expand. Like, you don't have to meet force with force. It's a waste of energy. And I'm like, he's like, let's go. And I was like, come on. And then that's exactly how the fight went. He was aggressive. And I was just like, come on. And I moved and I sucked him in. And then boom, as soon as he relaxed, that's when I went. And then I got the knockout. And it's like, if you're authentically you, then you have a better chance than if you're trying to be something you're not. Because then that doubt is going to come in, because that's not you.
Well, Moon, you said a lot of awesome things there. I really appreciate the play-by-play on a couple of those fights, because that really gives me anyway, a perspective on what you're dealing with and how you're thinking and how you're strategizing. But something I can tell you is that when you really go strong in your movie time and your visualization through every possible situation with a positive outcome in every scenario, and you either have music going on or you've got your own voice in the background and you attach emotions to it, what happens is you've already won the fight before you've stepped in the cage. And when you truly are ready for a fight, it's over before it starts. And so, just like quarterbacks, they have to complete the pass before they throw it. Mm-hmm. You know, baseball players have to hit the homer before they swing the bat. It's like, you've got to win your fights before you show up in Vegas or wherever you got to go.
Yeah.
And so your goal should be, what do I got to do physically? What do I have to do mentally? And what do I got to do spiritually? So when I get off the airplane in Vegas or wherever your fight's at, it's already over. And now it's just go do it.
Yeah. Like I said, man, it's like you speaking to my coach, like one-on-one. He would tell me like a couple days before the fight, like weight cut week. He's like, hey, he would just say, the hay's in the barn. Like, the work is already done. You already won, right? You've already had every outcome possible, and you've seen yourself winning. You visualize yourself there. Now, the hay is in the barn. The work is done. You've won all the most important things leading up to the fight. And that's big for me. I'm like, that's why I just say, man, if you win the day, win the day. If you win the day and you win enough days, you'll win the week. And that doesn't mean like get off task, like think about the win. But I'm saying, hey, in order to win today, I need to do follow this game plan. And if I do that, the belief in myself will always be there, but the confidence will definitely continue to grow. And then when you have those things working hand in hand, it's like you feel. I tell people, man, sometimes I feel like I could run through a brick wall, like on a fight day. I'm like, if you give me a brick wall, I think I can make it through there.
Well, I have a lot of respect for UFC fighters because there's very few people on the planet that can do what you guys do. I mean, be straight. I mean, how many people can put themselves in a position where it's kill or be killed? You know, what happens is we don't have a kill or be killed society anymore. I mean, that's the way it had to be, you know, 2,000 years ago, 3,000 years ago. If you wanted to eat, you had to kill. But now it's like just play video games and chill out and kick it on the couch. It's like people want everything delivered. DoorDash is awesome. You know, Uber Eats is awesome. You don't have to do anything. Just sit on the couch and use your phone. So to do what you do is, you know, I tip my hat to you because very few people can do that. Sometimes your fights are so brutal, I can't even watch them. I'll be sitting there, sitting on my couch watching it and going, oh my God, that's just so crazy. Because you have to be so animalistic, primal, like you shared, that I don't know, you know, that's not in everybody's wheelhouse. So it takes a special mindset to do that.
Yeah, I think the fact that society has came so far away from that, now, like everything is cyclical. Everything goes in cycles. And like you said, you can DoorDash, you could be at home, you could do this. But there are instincts in us that drive us as humans. And I think the further we get away from that, the more you'll start to see guys and people start to go why they're gravitating towards MMA and combat sports is because the farther society gets away from that kind of mentality and the more comfortable we get at just everything getting DoorDashed and delivered and I could just get it sent to me. I don't have to go shop. I don't have to do anything. There will always be that thing inside that says to get back in touch with your most authentic primal self because that's who we are in our nature. And if you can find something that puts you there morally and ethically, then I'm for it. And for me, that's MMA. I get to show up to it where people are trying to literally choke me and punch me and kick me, but I do it willingly and I feel great because of it. Because if I didn't have something like that, I don't know where else I would find that kind of what could get me to that primal place. I couldn't name. There's nothing else in society that like I can do as a man. Maybe go hunting. I don't, but I don't know. But like for me, the physical and the mental and that spiritual connection that you get from being a combat athlete, a martial artist, it's unmatched, man. To me, I don't, there's nothing like it on the planet.
Well, Moon, what you just described is that you're alive. You're living life. You're living life on the edge, and you love it and you enjoy it. And it's become your purpose. It's your mission. It's how you get to demonstrate your true identity.
Yes, sir.
So, all right, brother. Well, I want to thank you for being on Pro Mindset. This was first time I've had an MMA guy on my podcast. I really enjoyed it, and I want to thank you for being on. Hey, it's Craig Dillman, the host of Pro Mindset Podcast. I want to thank you for listening or watching today's show. And you can catch us every week on the normal social media platforms like YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and all the listening podcast platforms. I hope you enjoyed today's show. And more importantly, I hope you gained a pro mindset insight. Please be sure to rate and review Pro Mindset Podcast. And I look forward to catching up with you on our next show.